Listen, you stupid dumb bitch.
Sean speaks. What's he even thinking? What does he know? Does anybody care? Sean speaks. What's he even saying? Can someone shut him up? Does anybody care?
So what I want to do tonight was just talk about the 90s and how awesome they were and how much they're better than now. And it comes to a lot of things. The shows that were on, the holidays were better, the weather was better, being a kid was better. It was just more fun overall. And I don't know if it's just because I was a kid during that time or what, but I think it was definitely a way better time than now. And always people say about, this generation wouldn't last or whatever, back in our day, but I think at first it'd be a shock, definitely, but once they got outside with their friends and stuff, they probably have a great time eventually and forget all about the internet and everything. It'd be awesome. But who knows? This is Sunday. One of our beagles. We have two. And she's smelling the microphone. That's awesome. What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, so one of the things that was definitely better was summer. Summer seemed to last forever back in the 90s. Oh, it's just a great time. Getting up early, going out with your friends all day, being outside all day, walking around, messing around, go pool hopping as well. That was fun. Go to Dairy King. See, we had a Dairy King where I grew up. It was called Dairy King. So it was like a little a privately owned one or whatever, but it was super awesome. They actually gave out ice cream cones sometimes, little small ones on Halloween. But yeah, pool hopping was definitely one of the best ones. I still remember one time I was at my friend's house, we were swimming, and their pool didn't have anything over it, so it was just like, sky. Like there was no trees in the yard or anything like that to cover anything, it was just wide open. So you could just look up in the summer, so we just look at the clouds and just talk, mess around, bullshit, and then we would discuss what movie we want to rent from Blockbuster if it was like the weekend or whatever. So that was always a fun conversation, or a fun topic, is seeing something that we wanted to see or something we haven't seen before, or is it something that we love, that we want to see again? Who knows? It was all good. Yeah, but also going with summer comes, the beach. That was always fun, going down the beach. We always went when I was a kid for like a week. Ocean City, Maryland is where we used to go when I was a kid. It was fun. It was a great time. I loved it. As a kid, I see pictures of how much I loved it. I'm not such a beach person now, not so much, but I still enjoy the environment of it. It's still, nice. You think you're definitely on vacation when you're at the beach. Summer also meant getting to stay up later, which was awesome. When you would just be able to be out all day, and then I still have vivid memories of this, like back in the 90s. There might have been central air, but we definitely didn't have it. We didn't get it till later, so we had one of the little window units downstairs. So, downstairs was cold, but our bedrooms upstairs were super hot. So sometimes you would just sleep downstairs on the floor because it'd be better than sleeping in your room. But I remember, I remember that feeling still of just having like that. It's pitch black outside, but it's still warm, and then coming inside, sitting in the AC. I still remember the smell those window ACs made, and I'd watch Snick, or we would watch Snick together. A lot of us would usually, well, not a lot of us would usually, but we watched it over each other's houses. But I remember after Snick was Beavis and Butthead, and I was not allowed to watch that when I was a kid, so I went over to my friend's house and we watched it over his house. Which, speaking of Beavis and Butthead, that brings me to the next topic of the 90s were just so different, right? So growing up, everything was kind of like, everything on TV wasn't like crude and ridiculous and everything like that. It was just a lot different back then. And then you had shows come on like Married with Children, It kind of opened it up a little bit. Roseanne, um, anything with like crudish humor. Beavis and Butthead was another one. Um, but it seems like everything, like definitely starting in the mid 90s, like 95, 96, when the stuff started coming out. Well, it seemed like to me, because maybe I was more aware of it then, that like things were changing and kids were being more more carefree and bad, and you just did bad things for fun. Um, which makes me think of the generational thing, because I swear we used to me, I'm Gen X, but I'm a millennial. I think I remember when I was younger, I swore we were in Gen X, and then they switched the dates eventually or something like that. It was stupid. But it seemed like things were getting more crude, more sexual, on TV and conversations and stuff like that as well. It became more of a norm thing. So being a kid during that time was awesome. I just remember seeing, like Married with Children or HBO or Skinamax or the Playboy Channel or the Spice Channel. They were blurry, those two, but you can still hear. But just that becoming a new norm. And I just remember how exciting it was to be younger and to like just see stuff like that on normal TV. Like MTV, stuff like that. They had it on there. I remember Singled Out. That was a great TV show, Singled Out. Chris Hardwick and who was it? Jenny McCarthy first, and then Carmen Electra was after that. But yeah, I remember Singled Out. I remember Road Rules, Real World, awesome 90s shows. They're fun. They were like super fun to watch, dramatic, all that bullshit as per usual. South Park was a major stepping stone in the changing things from how they used to be to how they became, or how they are now. And then just with the crudeness, I remember, I think, would it come out 96, so I was 12. I remember watching the first episode over at my friend's house and literally crying from laughing so hard. My stomach hurt from laughing so hard, because then, like, that was not something you saw. You didn't see cartoons acting that way. You didn't see the kind of crude and ridiculous humor that was on that show. It was mind-blowing the first time. I remember, loved that show. Like, if parents thought Beavis and Butthead was bad, then like that was nothing compared to them. Even The Simpsons was a little more raunchy, or not raunchy, hardcore at that time for what it was. But back to this Gen X millennial thing. I feel like I should be a Gen X, you know what I mean? Like of that same time period. I was looking at it before, how they kind of had the years matching for some of the dates, and I'm like, they switched off the baby boomers to the Gen X. Baby boomers stopped in 66, I think, and then 67 is when Gen X started. But looking back at it now, that's when Kurt Cobain was born, so it's like they couldn't let him be a baby boomer, he had to be a Gen X, so they switched it. But just to me, it just seems like 85, no, well, halfway through to 84, right? That's halfway through. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 5 years. It's half a decade. So to me, it feels like it should be, because of Woodstock was in 69, which was a baby boomer thing. So I would think, to me, 70 to 85 should be Gen X, or 70 to 84, excuse me, should be Gen X. But it doesn't really matter. No one cares. Because I remember when I was younger, like in my 20s or whatever, calling like the kids like millennials. Like, so yeah, Gen Z, I guess Gen Z, I was calling them millennials because I assumed that we were Gen X and they were millennials. I didn't think I was one. But whatever, that's the moniker it is now, I guess. Millennial, not a bad thing. I mean, did grow up in a great time. Back in a time, you just go out all day until the streetlights came on. Unless it was summer. Summer was different. But no, wait, what? No, because they didn't go on until later. I think in the summer we stayed out later than the streetlights, especially if we were at someone's house or just hanging out or whatever. So that's not. I think that was only during rest of the, like a school year. Oh, summer for us also meant like adventures, right? So definitely as a younger kid, even as a teen too. Um, behind my house is at my parents' house is at the last house on the left, at a dead end street, obviously. And behind us is like this big field, and then there's a creek there. But there's like trees on both sides hiding the creeks between them. But in the big field, we used to have like I don't know what it was. It was kind of like corn stalks. It was not corn stalks. Like hay, I don't know, kind of weird stuff. But it was like in a big circle. I remember that like to the left of my coming out of my house and in the field, and we used to go make trails through it. It wasn't like the biggest, like super big, but it was big enough to where we could make different trails and then make a centerpiece or anything like that. It was really fun, really cool. But we used to do a lot in the summer was go down to the creek, where like back down directly at the end of my street, you go down and you get in. We had like a little clearing right there to get down to the creek. There was like a little cliff. What's that called? Like the riverbank, the river creek bank that was there. But we used to always go down there. We built a dam there, and then we would always go. Which way did we want to go explore that time? So if we went right, that was shorter distance to the end, but it went underneath 95, and then it kind of ended right there. It wasn't very far. Going to the left was the way. It went all the way up from where my house was, till I think up near our high school. 6 miles, maybe. Let's say 6 miles. It was long. But when we used to go left, it was still weird. 'Cause I remember going to a certain part and it got real deep all of a sudden, and then it went back up. It went back. It was so fun just walking through that creek. In clothes, obviously, we don't have to mess them up. Like usually, shorts, with our shoes on. Destroy them. Or I think sometimes we might have let. No, we did take them off. Sometimes. Yeah, I remember it now because I remember plenty of times not having shoes on and stepping on sharp rocks or whatever the hell else was underneath that, and that being the end of that, hurting my feet. But yeah, there was nothing in the water. I don't remember there being anything in the creek. It wasn't like fish or anything like that. It might have been like the little, but nothing you would realize when you're in it, and then there were no other creatures down there. I remember my friends or somebody used to say there was water moccasins down. If you went to the right, like I said, and then went underneath 95, like underneath that little, it was like a little tunnel. People said there was water moccasins down there, but I don't think that was true. But yeah, it was a fun time. I don't think, did we ever go all the way up to? I think we did. I think we did go all the way up to the high school one time, and like we see people. Some people's backyards, were like right up to the creek. Not like mine is a little bit away, but their like backyard was like right up to the creek, and we would just walk by. They're out there, playing or having a picnic or whatever the case may be, and we're sludging through the damn creek back there, just bullshit, and then throwing rocks, fun stuff like that, the good stuff. But yeah, I think we went all the way to high school. We're definitely pretty far. I think we went all the way. I think so. Could I do it now? Probably not. But yeah, I loved doing adventures like that. We play a lot of football, a lot of tackle football, and rumble fumble. I've heard different names for this, but we called it rumble fumble. It's where you throw the ball up in the air, whoever gets it, they try to score a touchdown. And they keep trying to score touchdowns, and you tackle them and try to get the ball, and whoever gets the ball, it's their turn to score touchdowns, so you get points, boom, boom, boom. But it was dangerous game. I swear we had, like, concussions, but who knows. Probably did, but just hitting, oh man, I just remember how hard we used to hit. It was crazy. Doing wrestling, doing actual wrestling moves, like real ones, like grappling around, messing around, and everything like that. But I remember my friend fucking powerbombed me, like picked me up and just powerbombed me on the ground. He didn't like slam me, but like he let me go onto the ground. That shit's crazy. We also have we used to have like Royal Rumbles. I remember one time too, and it was in my wife's backyard. think it was like 6 or 8 of us, so we had like 3 or 4 on a team or whatever, and we did it like Royal Rumble style. It's like 2 guys started, and then randomly Jen would pick out a name from either team to go out there, and I remember my friend still got mad at me because I was the last one, and I was counting down, and then I jumped in like 3 seconds early, and he was mad about that because he was trying to tap my friend out, and I had to get over there, and he thought he could have got him out if I hadn't jumped in early. So, whatever. Water under the bridge. Another dangerous one was baseball. Or wiffle, was it wiffle ball or wiffle ball? I think we used to play wiffle ball on the street. So on my street, like I said, it's a dead end, but it's also like an incline hill. So about halfway up the street, there's like an alley. So if you go up from my house and go straight up, so you're going, an incline up. If you halfway through, there's an alley to the right, to the left was where like my main friend's house was. We used to like stand there, and then we played baseball. We'd have bases like, oh, this person's car, and they were there, or this fire, not a fire hydrant, but like random objects. We used to play with a tennis ball. The bad thing about that is you're hitting it down. It's just the road. It isn't like super big. I don't even know if no one's parked in there. You can fit cars going one each, one up, one down, but not big. And then just hitting that ball and hitting people's windows and all kinds of crazy shit, man. Fucking stupid. We never broke anybody's window, but yeah, it was crazy. We'll come back to the alley in a second, but when we were kids, at the top of my street, on the left side, this big yard with a house. And the lady that lived there, her name was Linda. My wife called her Miss Linda. And her neighbors and stuff called her Miss Linda. We were disrespectful as shit. This is Linda, fat old Linda, big broad. Bro, something was wrong with them. Crazy, dude. They had like like I said, they had a big yard, and they had like gardens in there, so they used to grow stuff and all kinds of things like that. But they had a strip of yard outside of their yard, kind of, that was like right next to the street or whatever. So sometimes he'd be the man, his name was Paul, right? Yeah, Paul. Yeah, he cut that because that was his yard. But what was it, one time, I don't know, my wife like threw something accidentally, or something slipped or whatever and went near him, and he was cutting, like he turned it off, and he's like yelling at us or whatever, and my friend he said, oh, well, the guy said, small minds, small pleasures, like, because we're idiots and little things made us laugh or whatever. And then my friend said, what do you say? Large wife, large pleasures. It's so funny, dude. Oh my god. But yeah, she was a menace to us. Like, if a ball went over there, if a football went over there, a basketball, a baseball, a tennis ball, whatever, gone. Not getting it back. She kept them all too, because my wife's neighbor, there was a little girl, a couple years younger than me, and then her brother, which was 4 or 5 years younger than her. He for some reason she liked him, and he was a little kid, he was nice or whatever, and she didn't mind him at all. So he told us one time he went over there to do something, and she went down in the basement to show him something or whatever, and there was like dozens and dozens of our balls, our tennis balls, our baseballs, our basketballs and footballs and everything like that. And it's crazy, mean lady, man. I don't understand it. I mean, one time I did, my friend was driving on the road, and we saw a KFC, so I told him to stop in there real quick, and I grabbed one of their little sign steaks that they had. put in his car. We went back, and while they were away, I went in her yard, dangerous territory, and planted that in her yard, KFC sign. My wife still thinks I'm mean because of that shit. Oh man, it was nothing really, nothing came from it. But I heard someone had told me that when she called the cops, obviously, that that they wanted it fingerprinted to find out who did it. So dumb, dude. One time, when we were younger, laser pointers were like a new thing, and that was like everybody had a laser pointer. It was super cool, the funny thing to do or whatever. And my wife had one or whatever, and she just shined it towards her house or whatever, and I guess it got inside for a second. Linda saw it and she called the cops. She calls the cops a lot, but she called the cops because she thought someone was trying to kill her. Ridiculous, man. It makes no sense. I don't understand. And they where were they from? South Carolina? I think South Carolina originally, and I think they moved back there. I haven't been home in a while. I don't think I remember. I haven't been back to Philly for a while, so yeah, she was a menace, man. The alley was another cool hangout little spot. Why it's cool and a hangout spot, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It was cool to us, okay? We walk up the alley, and I remember on the left there was like this house, and it had stairs, like cement stairs, and it had like that little, like the barrier outside the stairs, whatever it's called, whatever. We used to sit there and chill all the time and like bullshit. There was a patch of grass right there. We used to hang out there too. And on the other side of the alley was the people who lived on the left side of me, on the other, in like the alley, not on our street. They lived like in that alley street, I guess you want to call it. Yeah, and they had that big ass yard. And they always had a dog, always a mean dog. Every time we walked by, like freak out and want to eat us. But they had a big fence too. It wasn't like a little, it was like above our heads fence. It was big fence. But yeah, we also so next to their property, going down more, like past the alleyway, was like another strip of grass. Then there was like woods and stuff. I'm trying to think what was at the top of this. I think like at the beginning of it, the place that was furthest away from the creek, the top of it, there was something in the ground. I don't know if it was like a telephone pole. I think there was a telephone pole, but I also think there was like a big ditch that had like a cement, I guess like a pipe, a well pipe, or whatever, to if it floods, it would go down into the creek, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, that was there. We used to play football there a lot in that grass. Yeah, I swear there was a telephone pole or something like that. I'll have to check. It wasn't like in the middle, but it was like at the top towards it would cut off, like where our touchdown was. I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we used to play. Yeah, we wrestled in there, and we used to do football there, a lot, or just hang out there and sit, chill. But yeah, we go on adventures, man. Go bike riding. Man, I remember. Yeah, I think me and my friend used to bike, or we did one time. We rode our bikes all the way down to the cemetery. Now there's two. I have two near me, I guess you say. There's one that's like a couple streets up and over. That's one of them. I think I've only been in there one time. I don't remember. I think we were doing like a walk or something like that with my friends and their mom, like to get our heart rate or something like that. I don't remember. But the other one, Longcroft Cemetery, that's the place. Like my brother is buried there. My mom, my papa, my other papa, and my grandma are all buried there. My parents have a plot there for when they pass. But yeah, that. Oh man, that had to have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 miles, maybe the 5 miles, 6 miles to bike there, and it was huge, huge cemetery. I remember riding around there, everything like that, and yeah, that's crazy. I wonder. I'm thinking right now. We probably rode past where my brother was buried, but obviously, before he passed away. So I don't think there was any. It was like towards the end. I don't think there was any graves back there yet. It's kind of crazy. If it's true, I don't know. I think we did that area. I think so. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, we biked all the way down there. Bike around. Bike Dairy King, Wawa. Walking the Wawa was one of our fun things to do. So we go up the street, and then we went on my street, go left, and then took another alleyway all the way up. It took us through, let's see, so it took us through 2 more streets. Then there was like a road cut through it, and that's where the Dairy King was. And then there was another like alley taking us all the way down to almost to where the Wawa was. Wawa was at the end of like a main street, so you'd have to get out of the alley a little bit, go right. Across the street there was a bank. It's been so many banks through the years. I don't remember the last time I was there. Yeah, there was something there last time, but I remember plenty of times though it being nothing and riding bikes through the like little drive-through lines, because it was constantly changing different banks. The old one, I can't even remember it anymore what it was called, but yeah, it was a bank, different bank. It's crazy. But a little bit further down that was where the Wawa was, and that's so we would go all the time there and hang out there and get stuff there and get. I remember getting vintage soda. That's what it was called, vintage. It was 88 cents for the 2-liter, so we got all them, especially when we're doing WCW Nitro parties sometimes at my wife's house. A lot when we were kids. I think when we did it there. Yeah, I think so. I think that was the only place we did it at was with her house. I think there was more room, kind of for us all to be there for that. So yeah, summer was definitely better back in the 90s. Tell you another thing that was better in the 90s, holidays. What I think is one of the biggest things that's kind of killing the holiday spirit or the feeling of Halloween or the feeling of Christmas or Thanksgiving, commercials. I don't know. We haven't had cable for a long time because I didn't like cable even before streaming became a lot of things. We didn't have cable. We used to just watch movies and stuff like that we had on VHS or DVD. But I don't think too many people now still have like cable, like live TV. I know there is live TV from like certain things like Hulu and stuff like that, but I don't know if that's the same. I don't have that. I never have. And I don't know if they play commercials or they just call them ads and they're just short like it is when you're watching a YouTube video or something like that or a stream. But when TV was king, when cable was king, commercials were a part of life, and commercials were. I still remember thinking this too. Everybody, never wanted to tape commercials like when you're taping something on your VCR off TV. But now, and I think you remember even like when I was a teenager thinking this, like, oh, it'd be cool to look back on these commercials. Now you wish you still had them. You can't skip them. But that give you time to go to the bathroom, whatever the case may be. So yeah, the commercials. I miss holiday commercials. I miss. There was so much. I was just thinking about this the other day. So there was a couple of commercials where you knew it was Christmas season, right? You had I think you still do this, but I don't know where. But the Hershey Kiss handbells, classic. That let you know Christmas is coming. A Play School Express commercial with a little kid, his grandmom and grandpop come on a train. They meet him, to come spend time with his family or whatever, and then they give him a real train, a Play School kids train set and everything like that. And I remember that commercial so vividly. I don't think a lot of people do, but I remember it. Goodbye, Grandma and Grandpa, or thank you, Grandma and Grandpa, something like that. Yeah, it was. It's a good one. But damn, there was more. But besides that, there's also you know, be like, oh, Charlie Brown's Christmas is coming to, it's going to play on December 13th or whatever. It would tell you on TV, give advertisements for that, like the bumpers. And sometimes it would have the people from that show or whatever, or that cartoon in those bumpers. And you also had Christmas episodes for TV shows, Halloween episodes for TV shows, Easter episodes for TV shows, something like that, St. Patrick's Day ones, or whatever the case may be. There was lots of different ones, Thanksgiving ones, episodes for TV shows. Those were coming up. You knew that was going to be like ushering in of a holiday season thing. I don't think there's anything like that now. Sure, we have ads, but most of the time I watch them for like till I skip it and not even paying attention. I'm just mad waiting to be able to skip it. So I don't. There's just nothing like nothing matches that feeling. I think of those very awesome commercials. I think there's a Santa one too. I don't think this is it, but there was a 7-Up one. If you remember that, dots from the 7-Up bottle would come out or whatever, and they ended up getting like a calendar, and it was like it had Santa on it with all the days, and you put a cotton ball on each day or whatever, and it ends up being his beard. I still remember that. And they had like a TV magically open. There's all this 7-Up in there. I still remember that one too very much. That's not the third one I was thinking of though. Yeah, that one was good. Sure, it was like Budweiser ones, with the Clydesdale horses or whatever in the snow. I'm sure there was. But yeah, everybody put out to this like the holiday seasons were for everybody, like the entire nation, like united to become these Halloween's coming, Thanksgiving's coming, Christmas is coming, whatever, 4th of July is coming, and everybody gets very festive, and you see all this kind of stuff that belongs with it. But and I also think we just change things too quick nowadays. It'll be back to school in August. Well, I know some kids go back to school late August, so that kind of kills it. But it just goes from like 4th of July to back to school, and all of a sudden, back to school stuff's like halfway through September's gone, and then if Halloween stuff pop up, all the Halloween stuff's there till. Usually, I've even seen a couple days before Halloween still. They're kind of putting half away, and they're bringing out Thanksgiving, but mostly Christmas stuff already. They just go through so quick. And then they have, let's say Christmas, and it's like December 26th or 27th. You go out there, these stores, and all the Christmas stuff is gone. All the Valentine's Day stuff is already out. I'm like, my God, like, chill. But yeah, also malls. To me, thinking of Christmas as a kid makes me think about the mall. The mall will be super decorated. The mall will be so festive for Christmas. Obviously, they had a little block with the Santa. You go see your picture taken and all that stuff, but they were so festive. Decor all through the mall, like wreaths and garland, like just stuff everywhere that made it feel like Christmas. Everywhere you went felt like Christmas. Every store decorated for Christmas. That was awesome. Yes, I got it. Just thought of it. And there's also another one for the Christmas commercials. The M&Ms. I knew it was with Santa. The M&Ms and Santa. And they see each other and like, they do exist. He does exist. Oh, it's awesome. That is a classic Christmas commercial, and that means it's Christmas. The other one is a Campbell Soup commercial where the snowman comes in. He starts, he gets in front of he sits down in front of the table, or sits on the chair and the table, and there's Campbell's chicken noodle soup in front of him, and then he starts to melt, and underneath him, a little boy eats chicken noodle soup. It's awesome. Awesome. Super Christmassy. It's another one that a lot of people love, especially girls. The Coca-Cola bears for Christmas. The polar bears. Everybody loved them. Loved them. Oh, this is a good topic for that too. Video games were better. Yeah, is it cool that you guys can like play a game with someone halfway around the world or whatever? Yeah, super cool. But I don't really care about that. I want to play with my friends. How about that? Super fucking gay. To be like wanting to play with random ass people, not wanting to leave the house and meet. No, that doesn't make any sense. Go back. Yes, is it cool that you can play on the internet and play with people halfway across the world. Yes, super awesome. Gotcha. That's super cool. It's a new thing. Okay. I don't really care that I didn't have that when I was a kid. But the gaming systems were better and the games were better. We had a Nintendo, the original NES system. My brother, well, it was my brother's. And then when they got older, I inherited it kind of. Then we had a Super Nintendo. Then we had a Sega and a PS1. Some classic. My wife had she had a Sega, so we used to play a lot of Sega games. Disney ones were kind of like the best ones. So we played like Aladdin, Lion King, Toy Story, great game. Sonic, of course, Sonic 1 and 2, the only ones that matter. I don't all the other crap after that. I don't care. Who was else? Who's the worm guy? Plasma. Earthworm Jim. That was a good game too. Yeah, Sega had a lot of good games. Kid Chameleon, that's one I used to love. Kid Chameleon. We had a Super Nintendo. Mario Go-Kart, the original one. We used to play that battle all the time. Oh, I'm an idiot. N64 also came out, which was another awesome system. I still remember when it first came out, seeing it, and I was like, this kind of looks like, it was 64-bit graphics, so it was double, Super Nintendo, Sega, everything like that. And it's all like blocky and everything like that, and I'm like, this is weird. It took a while to get used to playing like Mario on Mario 64. But the highlight of N64 was two things: GoldenEye and Mario Kart 64. Battle in Mario Kart 64 and Battle in GoldenEye. Two very awesome games. And that was the beginning of something like, where you play Call of Duty with someone across the world. But, it's just your friends in the room battling against each other. We used to make teams, but it was kind of hard. Sometimes you hit your own teammate, but, I know now they assign teams or whatever. They have like a real thing. But ours were better. I don't care, hands down. But yeah, gaming systems were definitely awesome. Was there board games when I was a kid? Yes, especially when I was real little. Trouble, Sorry, stuff like that. Stuff that's kind of came back out, and it's like $5 to buy the game now. But they were cool until you kind of get tired of that stuff when you get a little bit older. But we had the Sega and the Super Nintendo and stuff to play, and the N64. Yeah, also, I don't know if you could say better, but I also enjoyed this. Back when we had the internet, now the dial-up, do I like that? No, it sucked. I hated doing that. I hated you couldn't be online long, or you could, but if it was middle of the night maybe, and then who knows if it was an emergency phone call, you're kind of fucked. But just what the internet was back then, we weren't always connected back then. It was just you connected when you went on your computer and dialed up on the phone line and got on the internet. But it was like no rules on the internet. And I was watching something last night about this, and it reminded me about, I'm just thinking like websites, how they were back then. Like you had to know what the website was. There was no search engines. There was no Google, or if there was, it was nothing that we knew about at that time. But you had to know different websites or find them I really don't remember how you kind of found out. Maybe you just heard about them or something like that. I don't really remember. But yeah, that internet was crazy. You do whatever. Freaking pop-up windows. Remember that shit? Ugh, terrible. Yeah, I just liked the internet back then more. It was just, you went on when you wanted to get some information. You went on to learn something. Or you went on the chat too. That was the beginning of the, what was it? When MSN Messenger. And IM, instant message from Yahoo I don't remember, whatever one it was. And instant messaging and all that stuff was on there, and that was like, the height of technology for us back then. But that's how you could talk to random people. That was cool. A lot more secretive though, and like you really knew who they were. I still remember we were over my wife's house. I don't even remember how you did this, but she pulled up, or maybe it was her sister. She's a little more computer savvy. Her sister pulled up. Wow, what was it on? This was before before Napster, I don't. Maybe just go to a site. I guess it's just you went to a site and it had like sound bites for you to tickle or whatever. But it was the Donald Duck getting a blowjob one. And we just listen to that and crack the hell up, man. You listen to it over and over again and crack up. But yeah, that shit was funny. But yeah, Napster. I remember Napster, man. That was such a cool time. That was the beginning of never paying for music ever again. Haven't paid for music since 1998. Yeah. I remember making CDs, burning CDs from Napster, downloading anything. The time seeing it, like it's like 19 years and fucking that shit was ridiculous. When it would get that slow, it would like show you how it was going to be like 20 years or 100 years or whatever the case may be. That shit was funny. But yeah, the internet was crazy back then. Oh, I'll tell you what else was better in the 90s. School. School was better. You had your scholastic book fairs where you would get Goosebumps. Goosebumps, remember those? Fear Streets, remember those? Best things at the Scholastic book fair. Excuse me, it was the Scholastic book fair. But yeah, even school was better back then. We had 9 planets. Pluto, R.I.P. Another thing awesome about school back then too is the Halloween parades we used to have. Where you come in, whatever day it was, if it was Halloween itself or the days or whatever before, you dress up in school, and then in elementary school you would, line up and you do a little parade around there, everything like that. I think parents came to see all the kids in their Halloween costumes. Awesome. Everybody loved it. Fun time. Trick-or-treating was just better back then. Period. Another good one. Just remember being out there all night, excited, loving it, walking around. As got older, we just walk around a little bit, get hungry, get some candy. I remember there was not sodas. What the hell did he give out? The hugs? I think he gave out like the little hug barrel juices or whatever to drink, or maybe what was it? Or soda? I don't remember. They gave you some kind of. It probably was the hugs. And they had like full-size candy bars and stuff too, so they were awesome. But yeah, it seemed better back then, and you were doing it by yourself. You weren't parents now, or I guess I was I was gonna say a victim of it. I guess I was also a perpetrator of it too. That we kind of, we're like helicopter parents. I don't know, maybe because we had too much freedom as kids, but we were look over and protect our kids a little too much, I think. Yeah, you just go out with yourself. You're 10, you and your friend go out by yourselves and just go trick-or-treating, and then come back whenever, I guess. I mean, I'm sure we had a time, but it just felt like forever. You're just out there by yourself, getting independence, walking around, having fun. There's dead air out there. I think I already talked about TV shows, but how about like kid shows? Nickelodeon was it back then. I still remember when they buried that time capsule. Nickelodeon Studios was awesome. Loved seeing it on TV. It looked like the coolest place ever. Everybody getting slimed and stuff was so cool. But the shows, dude. Are You Afraid of the Dark? Classic. Roundhouse, classic. Pete and Pete, classic. Ren and Stimpy, classic. Clarissa Explains It All, classic. Rugrats, classic. I'm definitely forgetting some, and I'm sorry. All that, classic. Like, so many good, legendary shows from that time period for kids. Nickelodeon was, man, still seeing, what was it? I think it was a video I watched, it was about Nickelodeon Studios, like, closing down or whatever, and I think before they had fixed it up to make it the Blue Man fucking Group thing, someone had went in there when it was, like, under construction, and still had, like, all the old, like, Ren and Stimpy paintings on the wall and stuff like that, and it was eerie and weird. Ugh, made me feel terrible. But yeah, Nickelodeon was the shit. Oh, it's also back when, Fox was, like, the bad channel. like, you know, you had your ABC, NBC, CBS, like your main broadcasting channels, and then Fox became like the fourth one. And it was like the bad one. It had Married with Children on there. It had The Simpsons on there. All like the bad things were on Fox Network. Everybody thought that was like the bad channel. I know you can get everything like online shopping now, but back in the 90s we had like the better places. We had KB Toys, we had Toys R Us. We had places like Discovery Zone, Chuck E. Cheese. I know they still have Chuck E. Cheese with nothing like it used to be. We had all these cool experiences. The Pizza Huts were better than you used to sit in a Pizza Hut to eat. They had a buffet, no, my bad, a salad bar, which had pizza on it. So it's so much awesome stuff. The sit down style was better. McDonald's tasted better. Wendy's, Burger King, all those places tasted good back then. I haven't had fast food in like I've probably had it twice in like the last 10 years, something like that. Not a fan anymore, but all that stuff was the shit back then. KFC was awesome. Pizza Hut, awesome. Taco Bell, awesome. And then we got to go to the mall. What a great time that was. We had so much independence as kids back then. Getting to go to the mall was like a rite of passage. Like, that was your independence. Like, you were dropped off and told, you know, we'll be back to pick you up in 3 hours, 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever it's going to be. And then you were on your own from that point on. Walk around the mall, get something to eat, you know. My friend used to go to Sabreros, get pizza and their iced tea, and then you could smoke cigarettes in that restaurant in the mall. You used to be able to do that back in the 90s too, which was awesome. You also used to be able to, you know, like drink alcohol wherever you wanted to, like, you know, at a sporting event, at school. Why you can't now? Everybody's a baby. For being able to smoke wherever I wanted to. The indoors thing, I got you. It's better like this, but just outside wherever I want to should be fine. And there still should be some areas inside where you can, I feel. But just, you know, then if you don't like it, don't go there. Random thought. Remember that commercial in the 90s where the dad, the guy with the mustache, suit, not a, he wasn't wearing a sports coat though, just, you know, long sleeve, button down, tie, and slacks. And he has like his box, and he holds it open, and the kid's on the bed, and he's yelling at him because he found drugs. And he's like, "Where'd you get this?" Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, "Where'd you learn how to do this stuff?" And the boy's like, "You, alright? I learned it from watching you." Parents who do drugs have children who do drugs. Do you guys remember that commercial? I also think imaginations were better back then, back in the 90s. I'm not saying that imagination doesn't exist now. It does, with these new generations, because there's still things that they do are very creative and evocative. I don't think that's the right word, evocative. Evocative of creativity, I guess, was the way I was trying to put it. But they're very creative. They can use their imagination for lots of things. These little TikTok things they do, and editing and all that stuff. These kids are, their imagination is still good. But back then, because that's all we had. That's all we had to use. Sure, we had video games, stuff like that, but that was not our life. We didn't have a phone. We weren't on social media all the time. Our lives were our lives and with our friends. So we had to use our imagination for everything back then, to make different things, to make days different. Pretending you're this or doing this, or trying to go to this place and jump off this bridge into this little creek, or jumping off of a house and trying to do a roll so you don't hurt yourself. I remember doing that, jumping off a roof and then doing a little tumble thing, like a ninja. You had to be creative to make certain games, do things differently, kind of change things up a little bit, and kind of how Jackass was back then. And well, CKY, they weren't really Jackass in the 90s, sorry, but that kind of thing. Going off imagination, you also did things like As a Neighborhood kind of back then too. Not like, I'm not saying it was like in the Sandlot, like in the 60s and the 50s and everything, like where like that block party for 4th of July. I don't think, not like that with your neighbors, but excuse me, or with your neighborhood, but the kids hang out and everything like that. The kids play games together, everything. I remember playing Release was a big game. You do it at night. We play Release. It's like no, it's like freeze. It's not like freeze tag. It's something where I think if you catch the other team, they go into jail. And then there's like some of the other teams like a security guard to make sure they don't leave. But if one of the other if that teammate comes up and touches them, they can come back out for Release. Yeah, I haven't thought about that in a long time, but yeah, that was a nighttime thing to do with a lot of kids. Almost like the hide and seek scene from the Dennis the Menace movie. If you've seen that, I love that. Yeah, there was. You did everything with other people. You're never really alone. Being alone sucked. You didn't like it. Like me and a couple of my friends would get up early in the summer, and my other friends would sleep in like late, because we were for kind of various ages. But they would sleep in to like 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And that shit was stupid because we're just like, well, there's less of us, trying to think of things to do you usually can't do because there's less of you or whatever, or maybe they were busy and now you're by yourself because everybody's still sleeping. But yeah, everything together. I don't even want to get started on music and how much better it was back in the 90s either. Ugh, all of it. Even the, I hate country, but even the pop, rock, jazz, rap, hip-hop, everything in the 90s was better musical-wise than it is today. Hands down. I also mentioned earlier about how even the weather was better back then. It's kind of a little lopsided because I'm from outside Philly, so I'm from Pennsylvania, and the weather in Pennsylvania is much different than the weather in Virginia. When I was a kid in the 90s, I remember having real winters, like snow, every year, and not sporadically, and definitely being blizzards. I remember the blizzards. Well, we had one in Blizzard in 93, 96. Or was it Blizzard in 95? Ugh, ridiculous. I don't remember, but one of the two of those three. But yeah, we had like snow, and it was like during the times you think it's gonna snow, like sometimes in November, December, January is when it snowed. September and October, and the other half of November were fall, like real legit fall. The leaves weren't half retarded, like these ones don't know the change, or these ones don't know what the fall or whatever. It was fall. Everything would gradually change color and then die. It was temperature was cooler, you know what I mean? It'd be, okay during the day, and it get cold at night, so you need like a windbreaker or something, and then it'd be cool. And or hoodie. We really didn't wear hoodies. Or I didn't wear hoodies back then. And it would get cold, and it would get colder through the night. And that was it. That was fall. Spring was spring, and summer was summer. Now, I do remember having some summers where it was like over 100 degrees. I think the hottest I ever remember. I think the hottest I ever was in back then, I think it was 102. I think might have been 101. We went up the street to the basketball court. Not the street, but up the way a little bit to the basketball court where everybody used to play basketball, and we played for like 3 minutes and we're like dying. Like, never mind, it is too hot to play basketball at the court. At least called the court. So, walk back and you jump in the pool or whatever, and there you go. That's what you're going to be doing. But I remember it being that hot to where even the pool didn't cool you off that much. But yeah, but it was summer. Summer was summer. And we don't have humidity. I don't even think at all. Or we didn't then. Not that I remember. I didn't remember. I never remember when I even remember. I keep saying that. When the first time I felt humidity was. So I would think it was probably in Florida when we went to Disney. That had to have been it. Yeah, I think so. Whatever. Yeah, but I don't remember there ever being humidity there either, so it was better. And we had we had a couple hurricanes. Nothing too bad. Floods, thunderstorms. Oh, dude, just the thunderstorms back then, especially the ones in the summer. You know, you'd be in the pool, and all of a sudden, it just get dark, and then oh, lightning. Get out of the pool. Now we're just huddled up or whatever, and it starts pouring, and we're just running through the street. Just in our bathing suit, nothing on our feet, running through the street, getting our feet all cut up and everything, uh, in this awesome thunderstorm. I also remember power going out too. Power going out back then sucked a lot. Yeah, because remember you only had that little window AC, so it's cooling the whole bottom floor mostly. So when that gets turned off for a little bit of time, it's going to take a while for it to get refreshed again. It's not like central air like we have now. Oh yeah, and you had nothing to do, nothing. All power was out. Nothing you could do. Now when the cable was out, that was whatever because you could still watch movies. So it wasn't that big of a deal with the power being out. Shitty. What else was better in the 90s? Action movies. Real action movies. We had real action stars. Arnold, Sly. It makes me mad to think of what action films are today. But the other one, the one that's definitely the biggest change, was comedies. There was real comedies back then in 1990. Some of the best ever. The ones we have now are crap because you can't talk about anything or everybody gets sad. I don't think it's necessarily better, but something that was more important back then was pictures. Because it wasn't like you have it now. You have your phone, you could take unlimited pictures, doesn't matter. You have them, and you can delete them if you want to, or you can keep them or whatever, but you can take as many as you want. Back then, you had your little windy cameras with, was it 24? I think 24 pictures, 30 pictures maybe, 24 or 30 pictures. 15? Why am I thinking 15? I don't know, but not many pictures. And then you had to go get them developed. And it was expensive. And then it started getting a little bit cheaper, and then they were doing like free doubles or whatever with it. That was like amazing time. It was like, oh, free doubles, so in case you can give one to your friend, or if it gets fucked up, you have a backup one. But yeah, so it took time for those, and you had to wait. I think it was like 4 or 5 days at first, and then I think they started doing like next day, and then it was like the 1 hour. Yeah, 1 hour. Like it was like amazing. Like, oh my god, you can drop them off, and in 1 hour you have your photos. Incredible. But yeah, they just meant more. We still have a whole bunch of pictures. Pictures of when we were. So say pictures when we were younger. Yeah, no shit. All pictures of you are you when you're younger. Who said that joke? But just I remember like the glossy feel and the smell of pictures. And I remember like if you got them like fresh when they like just got them done, they're a little warm to the touch. But yeah, photos were just more important, and you had to have like people with you to take pictures. It wasn't I could just take a selfie whenever I want to, and you had to ask people to take pictures for you, and a little more trusting back then. But yeah, it's definitely photos were more important back then. We had photo albums, and you look through them, and you want to make new ones, you and your friends, or I remember taking so many pictures just to have them, just to have like a random shit. I mean, like kind of like you do now, but from back then, you don't know if you did a good job or if it was going to be blurry or something like that, or didn't capture it. Especially if it was like a timing thing, or the flash messed it up or something like that. It was definitely a lot of hit and miss for unique pictures back then. But yeah, they were definitely more important to people. We also used to have family TV time, usually around the evening time, especially on Fridays, or TGIF. But I remember my younger brother, my mom, my dad sitting down and we're just watching TV together. Like you do that for an hour or two every day, and it's just that's time spent together. You might do it now, I guess, if like you're checking out someone just scrolling through TikTok with somebody else in their family. I guess that's kind of the same thing. I don't know. All right, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Please hit the bell for notifications. Okay, so let me know, what do you think in the comments? Do you think it was better in the 90s? Do you think it's better now? Do you think something specific was better then, or something specific is better now? Just let me know.